Let's start our second session, and today's session, our focus is on Deamntra Concepts. Like you might know the series and levels, but it will be a little bit brush up for you. So what other things can be done? We'll also touch base on little bit on the security side, and what are the things we can hide, we can disable. That quickly we'll see that. So this is our agenda. We'll talk about levels, how to create a levels, what are the properties of levels, series, collaborator workbench, worksheets, workflows, method, forecasting process, and security. And so what is exactly mean by level? So the level controls how the data is aggregated, organized. So here is one example. So for this example, this is a hierarchy of that level. So customer ship to is the lowest level, and the corresponding parent is a customer, which is A.A, and corresponding parent is a customer account, which is A. So A.A, A.A. So this is a hierarchy. This is one of the hierarchy. Now, if we select the level as customer account A, then it shows data like 1.2 million cells for January 16. If we select the customer, which is A.A, that particular value, then it shows a 0.8. And if we select the corresponding address, which is A.A, which is belongs to customer A, and the customer A belongs to account A, then it shows the data 0.05 million for January 16. So in short, it is disaggregating data when you go to the child, whereas when you select the parent, then it shows aggregated data. So this is the level. This is one of the purpose of the level. But on top of that, these levels are used for filters. Then while importing, exporting, one of the example of importing is you can import the data against, for example, product family or at business group level. And then while exporting data, another example is you want to export the data at a particular customer site and the customer site and the customer ship from location. So this is one of the examples where we are exporting data, and then the levels are used in the forecasting. If one of the level does not have the consistent data, then it does the aggregate and then does the forecasting. So so in short, levels are used in the forecast as well. So these are the few types of the levels: item, location, combination, time, general level, and the promotion level. That is or promotion level. So let's go one by one. Item level. So these are the level which groups the data of item, irrespective of time, irrespective of location. So for example, if I select the data against a product family, then it aggregates the data and then it shows in that worksheet. So here is the one example, like item is the lowest level, corresponding item type is MTO, EM. You can define this classification in a business side, and the corresponding parent is a division, like this is a electrical part or mechanical part. This belongs to mechanical business unit or electrical BU. So this is the classification that is defined, and if we aggregate the data at the division level, then it sum up all the data and it shows you. This is again the irrespective of the time and the location. Whereas the location is it's groups the data as per there are the two location dimensions basically. First location dimension is ship from, another location dimension is ship to. So if we consider the ship from hierarchy, so that is your organization, then corresponding operating unit, legal entity, and the business group. So this is a ship from dimension. Ship to, Then this includes this customer ship to customer and the customer account. So this is another dimension of location. So this is the location hierarchy. And then the combination. Now the combination, as per the name itself, it represents the data against the item and location combination. Okay, so if you select one specific combination, then what will happen? Like if we selected here, let's take example of show me the M1 data along with item type is equal to FGOEM. Okay, so if you want to see that kind of data together, then we have to use the combination levels. So what we have to do, we have to define the joining factor. So we have to marry this item and location, and we have to give one name. And that name will be stored in one particular table. And in the worksheet, you will use that set name. You will not select item separately and location separately. You will select that one name, automatically the item and corresponding location combinations information given to worksheets, and it aggregates the data. So we'll see the example of the combination. And then the time levels. So what is mean by time level? Like now you want to see the data in the weekly bucket. So this is a minimum time bucket that you have defined. But you want to aggregate the data at the monthly level, or you want to aggregate data at a 445 level. That means the 4 weeks, and 5 weeks. You have to aggregate the data at that level. So it does the aggregation accordingly. But now you want to see the data with a specific date range. Like I want to see the data for first 5 weeks. Then I want to see the data. Okay, for first 3 months, I want to see the data in 5 weeks pattern. So that means I want to aggregate the data of the 5 weeks, and then I want to see the data. But after the first quarter, I want to see the data in aggregated format in monthly aggregated format or quarterly aggregated format. So how to define this pretty odd these combinations? So that can be done by using the time level. So when we talk about the level discussions, we'll see where we have to define and all. Okay, so now another one is a general level. It is also called a promotion. General levels are used for the promotion. That's why it is also called a promotion level. Now, what is meant by promotion? The promotion levels, that means it will aggregate the data as per the item, location, and date combination. So, item is my iPhone, location is US, and date combination is start from 1st November till end of December or end of November. And so you will aggregate this data and you will see that information over the worksheet. So typically if you refer my example, so what I'm saying is for iPhone, for US location, for this date, promotion will be 10%. Discount will be 10%. Or buy one, get one, something like that. So you mention your promotion, you will run your promotion against specific time range. You will not run it for blindly without any date range. Okay, so that's why it is called the promotion level. So in short, general levels are time specific. So what is the difference between the general level and the combination level? The general level and the combination level, the difference is the combination level is a time independent data, whereas general level is a time dependent data. So the combination means one of the example which I mentioned here is a sales representative. Like for Asia Pac region, salesperson is or the whatever that marketing head is a person. For North America, there is a B person. So there is only for this product group, for this location, this is a sales guy or this is a division head. So there is only date range. So that kind of data will be stored in the combination, and the promotion that will have like a 10% discount. When you say discount, then what is the item, what is the location, and what is the date range. So this is our data. So now what I want to do is that I'm going to define the set name. So what I will say, okay, show me the combinations below. So this is my set name. So where the ship from is a D2 and the item is this one. So I'm not selecting any date range. So it might be some any date. So this is a combination level. Or I'll select, okay, so now here I'm not selecting any date range, right? So it can be anything. So this is my combination level. Now what is meant by general level? So here in the combination level, we'll add another one dimension, which is time. Or I will add another one dimension, which is a year. So what I did that, so what I'm seeing this data. So now if I select the data of this particular combination, so that means that what I'm mentioning is from E1 for this item and for this 2002 year. So there is some specific starting point and ending point. So I'm selecting specific date range, then it shows this much data only. So this is a general level and this is a combination level. Okay. So against the general level, what I will mention, I will mention a promotion like for 2002 year, discount is 10%. And for this combination sales guy, for if the item is this and it is shipped from this plant, then that plant head is some XYZ. Something like that. So you will mention this kind of information. And just to add further, this combination information. Now where I will store this data? Okay, I will go back to first. So this combination data will be stored in the MDP matrix, where, because in the MDP matrix, this is a table where I will get the combination, this item and location combination details in that table. So that's the only table where I will get it. So I will define my combination level there only. Okay. And now the general level. So where I will define this data, I will define this data in a separate table. So for the promotions, there will be a separate table. Okay, because in the MDP matrix, this table is only have the combination. It does not have date and date data. So I cannot define there. I cannot define the sales data because sales data will show everything. It will break down everything. So there is a separate table for the promotions. Locations. So there are some location tables, right? So it will store in the location table only all this level information. Like if I go back to my this data, so if I select what I will do that, I will select all these location dimensions, ship to, ship from, and this whole location dimensions data will be in one table. Okay, and then my item dimensions, where is the item? So this item, then inventory item ID and this inventory groups, category. So that will be in a separate table. On top of that, all this information will be there in the sales data table. So wherever there is a data, there the level information will be there. So, okay, that is one. And then now let's see how the level data can be seen. So, the level data can be seen in, there are the two ways to see the data. One way is you will see in a hierarchy, and another way is like that list of value or pull down menu you will see. So if you want to use a filter, there are the two ways. Usually this hierarchy is a most commonly used way to see the data, but this can be also possible. And then where this level definitions is stored, the level definition is stored in the group table. So this is the exam question, like where the level definitions is stored. So it stores the level definition, it will not store the level data, just a level definition. Then let's go to series. So for this level, we are having a separate topic where we'll open the table, we'll create the levels, we'll import the levels, we'll see the levels in the worksheet. So we'll have a separate detailed session on these levels. So there is a next topic, next point is series. So what is meant by series? Series is nothing but these are the columns what you will see in Excel sheet. So what is meant by level? So level, is it a row? If we compare Excel with the Deamntra worksheets, then the level means a row? No. The level means a filter in Excel, and series means these are the columns. So now, what are the things that you can do with the series? So some series can be editable, some series may not. The series data can be a number, string, or date. So mostly we have seen the series and the numbers. The string, typically we can use it like, for example, we can have one series which says approved, in process, need more details. So you will create this additional series, or whenever somebody amend the forecast and that forecast amendment is more than 50% of baseline forecast. So for example, baseline forecast is a 50%, or 50 quantity, and somebody has amended to 110, which is pretty high. So 100 than the baseline. So now what we can do that, we'll have another one series which says, okay, need additional information, which might not be editable. It will automatically derive if that variation is more than the 50%. So this is the example of string or, yeah. Then series can pull data from the combinations. Okay, now we have seen the combinations in the levels as well, and here now whenever we select that combination level in the worksheet, then it aggregates the data at the specific combination level. So if you recollect our Excel worksheet, in the worksheet what we did that we have selected that combination, it was not summing up basically, but if you do the pivoting, like if you create a pivot table in Excel where the combination against the combination, if you want to see the sales data, then it aggregates the data. So the same way it does the aggregation in worksheet. And some series data will be stored in database, some series data will not. So some series data will be calculated on the fly by using some formula, and some series data will be stored in a database. Then some series data can be aggregated, series data can be proportionated. So whenever the higher level is selected, it aggregates. Whenever you amend the any forecast at a higher level, then it has to proportionate to the lower level. So that definition should be there. And what are the different types of the series? Sales series, matrix series, promotion series, level series. So the sales series, as per the name, it pulls the data which is related to the sales. The example is sales quantity, sales date, sales price. The matrix series, so that means that it pulls the data from MDP matrix. So it can be you can call that as a combination series as well. So it pulls the data for specific combination from MDP matrix table. And the promotions, these are the specific to the promotions and level series. So you can pull the data from level table. So that kind of series called level series. When you define a series, there is one screen where you will mention whether it's a cell series or whether it's a level series or it's a matrix series. On top of the series, you can define some security. So when we talk about formula, there are expressions on the series. So depending on which kind of expression you use, there is a way to take a call whether the series should be stored in database or not. And we'll go in detail when we talk about the series. Like for example, if you are taking the item price and item quantity, and from that you are determining the value. Like my item price is $50, quantity is 1, then the value become 50. So this is that total value is the one of the series. So now you can calculate this value on the fly, right? And you don't have to define any server expressions. It will be a client expressions. Then in that case, this value will not be stored in database. You should not store the value in the database. You can, of course, store the value in the database, but it does not make any sense. But when you don't store the value in database, there is a disadvantage or there is a problem. Like if you want to export the data, okay, if you want to export the total value data out of Deamntra, and you don't have any client expression, you are having only client expression. You don't have server expressions. So it means that whenever you open the worksheet, then calculation will happen. But now, so it means that you have to open the worksheet and then you have to export the data? No. So what can be done? So there is a problem with this client expressions. If you have only client expressions, the value will not be stored in a database. That column value will be null. And then you won't able to get the data value for that particular series. So for that, we need to we have to do one additional step. So yes, so answer your question. The series should be stored in database or not. This of course, this is a business decision. But on top of that, there is some aspect, there is some consideration that for which series we have to store, for which series we should not store. And if you don't store, then what is the disadvantage? There are some consequences about it as well. Okay, and then yes, I was talking about the series security. So some series should not be shown to demand planner, like a profit margin. So otherwise, he will manipulate something and he will, okay, for each product, this much profit is gained by company. So he will visualize that. He will manipulate that data further. So just to avoid that, you can put the restriction, this series should not be shown to the user A, whereas this series should be shown to only that the higher or the top management guys. So you can define the security. Now the drop down capability. You can have the drop down for series or drop down checkbox. You can have that. Then the series might have some expressions, the client expression, server expressions, edit log expression, color expressions. So these are the expressions which we define. So as per the name, client expression, that expression will be executed when you open the worksheet. It will be executed at the client side, on the client machine, client laptop. Server expressions, so this is the expression will be executed on the server. Edit log, so this expression tells that whether the series should be locked or not. So like for example, series generated forecast, the best example of edit log is if somebody is reducing a forecast to 0 from specific value. Like earlier it was baseline forecast, or the Deamntra generated forecast is 1000 and he's making it a 0. This is not a good example actually. Sorry. Edit log example is, or somebody is doing the forecasting at very high aggregated level, like he's doing a forecasting at the business group level rather than doing at the SKU level. So you can log that override forecast column itself. We will not allow that. Then another one is the color expressions. Whenever the forecast error or whenever some users override the forecast more than 50% or 100%, then color should be red. So that kind of expressions we can define. And yes, so now where the series is used, of course it is used in the worksheets, but along with it is used in the filters, exceptions, and while doing import and export. So we'll see in detail when we talk about the series. And then where the series definition is stored, so that will be stored in the computed field. So this is again exam questions. The next thing is collaborator workbench. So usually collaborator workbench and worksheets, so user get confused. So the collaborator workbench is nothing but it's the first login screen when you log into the Deamntra. So what other things can you can do from there? You can launch a worksheet. This is a prime object or prime purpose. You can see who is online, who is working on Deamntra. But from there you cannot do chatting. You know, right? So this is just for showing who is working on Deamntra right now. Then another one is you can send the worksheet as a task. Like you can say, okay, so you and me, we both are colleagues, and I'm a junior and you are senior. So what I can do that, okay, I have amended this forecast. Can you please review? So you can send this whole worksheet to you. I will send this whole worksheet to you, and you will just review that worksheet, or you can amend the quantity. So you can send the worksheet as a task. Then you can review the exceptions, task, perform, and action. So typical, this is manager's actions, like what are the exceptions wherever I can see the forecast is more than 50%, 100%. Show me that much record only. If the forecast count is less than 50%, don't show me that record. So that kind of exceptions can be entered. Or you can, what you can have that, you will have one workflow which will be executed, and that workflow sends the notification to the top management saying that the forecast is more than 100%. So the baseline forecast is 100 and some user has updated to 200. So it is more than 100%. So override is more than 100%. So that particular record goes to manager. So it's like alerting. It's like alert. So you can have that kind of exceptions, worksheets, and or that kind of information will be shown in that collaborator workbench. Then another one is you can launch the planning applications like business modular, chaining management. So if you are individual user, then you can reset your password, and for that you can use a business modular, or you can use a chaining management. Like if you are working on the new products, then you have to use a chaining management. So these are some applications. These applications that will be accessed from collaborator workbench. Then of course you can change your password. You can personalize your collaborator workbench. So that means that I want to see only these by worksheet only 5 worksheet that which I want to see, or I don't want to see who is online. Or you can create. So these are things can be done, and then you can create task as email. Like you can send one email to your colleague or your manager, and that email is nothing but it's a task. So it's kind of email which you can send from collaborator workbench. And then worksheet definitions is stored in the queries table. So these are the things which we can do in the collaborator workbench. So collaborative workbench. So all this activity we will do in our next session. And then now let's move to the worksheets. So the worksheets, these are launched from the collaborator workbench, and these are some standard menus, like you can create a new worksheet, save as, delete a worksheet, you can print a worksheet. But then these are the some additional Deamntra specific functions, like send a worksheet. You can send a worksheet as a task. I told you, right? So you can send it from here as well. Then you can open a worksheet designer. You can save the data. You can play around this worksheet designer. So this is a worksheet designer, and there are some additional settings which are available once you click on the advanced tab. And so what are the things can be done in worksheets? So this is a very good feature of Deamntra, that you can define a nodes. You will not see this feature anywhere in the e-business side, where you cannot mention that nodes. Like if you do some transactions, what is the reason behind it? You cannot store that. So, but in the Deamntra, that feature is here. So you can mention some nodes, like oh, this is particular node. For example, I have amended this forecast. I have amended this forecast to the 17. Then what is the reason behind it? So I will mention increase the baseline forecast, and then I can mention the permission as well. Like this note will be seen only by my manager. It will not be seen by my colleague. So that kind of permission can be set on the fly when you are defining a note. And then there is a worksheet audit trail as well. So what is mean that what was your baseline forecast? Like your baseline forecast for individual SKU that was generated as a 50 quantity, but somebody has done amended that forecast quantity, but that amendment is happened at the product group level, at the product item category level, at the corresponding parent level, and that particular data is proportionated to that particular SKU. So, like, you might see one issue from user saying that, okay, I don't know who has updated this quantity, particular forecast. Why this quantity is this much? So, that kind of queries will be raised by the end users. Then you have to come to this audit trail, and then you will see that, okay, so somebody has done the update manually, and earlier it was 0%. Sorry, it was original value was 0%. Now it has made to the 10%, and because of that, another series value is changed. So there are the two series, percentage change base and the XX total. So these two series values are changed because of that, and this is the date range. Who has done, how has done? You will get all this information in the audit trail, and in this audit trail, you will get 4 level down history, 3 level down history, but in the Oracle business side, you will see only the created by and updated by. But here you will get all this information, who has done, how he has done, at what aggregation level he has done. So these are the features of the worksheets. Yeah. Then let's talk about the workflow. Now, as per the name, workflow is nothing but it does some works, or it does some work in a sequential manner, or it does the works in the parallel manner, depending on how you define it. So it might be a automated or semi-automated process where, like when I say automated, then you can have one particular workflow which will import the data, then it will run an engine, and once the engine is run, then it will also send a notification to user saying that engine is forecast is generated, please review. So you can do whole automation, or you can have semi-automations, like forecast, like in the same workflow, forecast will be data will be, history will be imported. Then you will, as an admin, you will review that history. So that is a manual step. And then what you can do that, then rest of others can be automated. Like once the forecast is submitted, once the history is imported, send a notification to admin, wait for admin, and when admin approves it, then triggers the rest of other activity. So this is a semi-automated. So that kind of workflow we can define. So what other things can be done? As we mentioned, the data migration, data movement that we can do through workflow. Or we can have the another example of workflow is where you want to take approval. You want to take approval from your manager, or then the manager's manager, and then the somebody from the finance team. So you want to follow some approval process, then you can use that workflow. So this is another example, and then another example of workflow is workflows are used for with the method. So when we talk about the method, we'll touch base on that, the last point. And then, so mainly whenever there is approval mechanism, that approval mechanisms that particularly used in the sales and operation planning. If you recollect our previous discussion, in the previous discussion what we discussed that in the sales and operations there will be multiple parties like finance, the sales guys and operations. So you want some active participation from all these guys, then what you have to do, you have to build one workflow where you will generate a baseline forecast. Then on top of that you will get some financial figures. Based on the figures, that goes to the sales guys. From the sales guys, it goes to the operation guys. So this kind of, if you want to build some conscious forecast, then you can use a workflow. And on top of that, workflows are used for in methods and also for integration purpose. Like if you want to export the data, if you want to import the data, then workflow will be used. And yes, Deamntra provides some base causal factor information. You will have some local causal factor, you will have some global causal factor, and of course you can override it. But you need to override this when you need to override this forecast, when you see your Deamntra is not providing very good accurate forecast. Something is wrong. Whenever you see the problem with the Deamntra accuracy, then you have to touch this causal factor. Otherwise, we should not touch the causal factor. At least for initial few months, 6 months at least, we have to go ahead with the base causal factor. And now from the if we have the 6-month history, then we can see, okay, the forecast accuracy is very low for last 6 months, and this is low for specific month or specific product category. Then we can do some modification accordingly, or typically we can wait for 1 year. So in short, whenever your business is mature with a Deamntra, then you have to touch these causal factors. Now, in the forecasting, again there is one concept called forecast tree. So what is a forecast tree? So the forecast tree, okay, let's take one scenario. So for item A and the location L, for this combination, I am having very good and very smooth history. Like for this combination, I'm getting history of 100, 100, 100, 100, 100 for each and every month for last 1 year. So I'm having a very good data points, and I can generate a forecast. But there is one item for which I don't have data points. Like for January it is 1,000, then February it is 0, March is 10,000, then April is 5. So it's a pretty up and down. I don't have pretty constant, and for some combinations you are having very good data point, and for some combination you don't have data points. Like, so if I don't have data points, like for example, February month history, there is no history for February 2015, February 2016, for that particular item. What I can do? Should I make that forecast as 0, or can I do some approximation and then come up with some values? So the ideal situation is you have to do some approximation, or rather than assuming it should be null. So how I can do the approximation? Like, okay, so now for X item, you don't have any history, but what you can do that, you can club such items, okay, and then you will get some values there. Like, take an example of Y, okay. let me open an Excel. So X and Y, this is 2016. Okay, so here is having 100, 50, 200, 0, 0, 0, 0, 5. So this is a this is your data points. Now, what Deamntra tried to do that, it tried to do the forecasting for this X and this L combinations. Okay. But it seems that there are lots of data points are missing here. I don't see any forecast for this particular 3 months. So what I can do? So what can be done is you can aggregate this data. If I do the aggregation for these two items, then I'm seeing some data points, so which is better than nothing. So I'm getting data points for all these months, and only 1 month I'm not getting data point, but it is still better. So what I will do that I will group this item category and location. And now if I do this forecasting at this level, so what I will do that I will determine, so Deamntra engine will determine some forecast for no, it will determine forecast for somewhere, sorry. So this is for next month. So what it does that it determines some forecast. So something like this, if here it will be some 80, some 20, and then some 110, then it might be 300. So for next whatever the period, it determines the forecast based on this history. Okay, but again this history is calculated at the group level. Then if it has to break down to the individual SKU level, then what it has to do, it has to proportionate the data. Like here it will say, okay, the proportion here is 100 and 0. So it might be like it will allocate 80 here, 0 here. Then here it might allocate, now in this case, in fact, it has generated 20, so it might be something, some 10. It might allocate equal quantity. Then here it might allocate some 20 and 80. So in short, if you see what we have done, we don't have data points. If we have data points, no need to do aggregation. If I don't have data points, then I will do aggregation. Deamntra will generate the forecast at aggregated level, and further it will be proportionated. Okay. Now, where to mention this? It has to done this aggregation at the item category level. You can do this aggregation at the item and location level, right? Like OU level. So you can take all the items belongs to that OU and do aggregation and then determine the forecast. You can do that way as well. So where I need to mention this aggregation, so that aggregation will be mentioned in the forecasting. So this is our forecasting. So how to read this data? You need to read the data like this. So now it is doing the first, it tries to generate a forecast at item and this site level. Then these are the levels, by the way. And if it is not able to generate the accurate forecast, then it will go to the it does the aggregation at location level. And even with this aggregation, it is not able to generate the forecast. Then further, it aggregates the item data and as well as the location data. So this is the way you have to define this forecast tree. So whenever you run your forecast, you need to make sure that forecast is generated at the lowest level. So how that can be seen? So that can be seen by if you go to the MDP matrix table, there is one column called level ID. That level ID represent this forecast level, and from that you will come to know for this combination, because MDP matrix is having this combination data, right? For this combination, this level is used. For this combination, this level is. If you are getting a more count for this lowest level, so that means you are having a very good forecast. Thumb rule is if you are getting more for more count like 70-80% for lowest level, then that means that your forecast is pretty good. So this is a thumb rule. Now another thumb rule is how many forecast level that I need to define. So if you exclude the first and the top, that lowest item level and the highest fictive level. So these are the dummy levels which Deamntra uses. So these are nothing but these are the boundaries. So the aggregation, that logic will run between these two boundaries, lowest and highest. So these are nothing but these are the two boundaries. These levels will not be exist in system. So yeah, so if you exclude highest and lowest, you should have at least 3 to 4 forecast level in between. So if you have the highest, if you provide the more level, then what is the disadvantage? The disadvantage is that your engine will take more time. Because engines try to run aggregate at okay, let me try to aggregate at this level. No, it is not getting a good forecast. Again, go down. It goes till that much level. So that is the disadvantage. Okay, but advantage of having more level is if you jump from, if you define item and site, this is your first combination, and secondly you directly jump to the product group and business group level. So you are jumping too much, and with that approximation will be high and your forecast accuracy is pretty low. So that means that you have to define some levels in between. So if you define more levels, then your forecast approximation will be little bit less, and you will get some good quality forecast. So this is the advantage of having more forecast levels, this forecast tree levels. But disadvantage is it will take more time. So the optimum is for 3 to 4 levels in between. Okay, so this is again the exam questions, like how many levels should be there in between. So these are the thumb rules. And another one is how many data points you should have if you want to do the forecasting. When I say data points, so that means that represents month, like how many month. Okay, so let me go back to my Excel. So this is the one data point. Okay, so if we want to generate a forecast, how many data points that you should have? Like you should have 2 months, like you should have January 16 data, January 15 data, January 14 data. So how many minimum data points that you should have? The minimum data points are 2. So it means that I should have minimum 2 years of history if I want to run a Deamntra. Because there are some causal factors which are seasonal, whenever I say seasonal, so that means it's a month specific. So if that causal factor only used in the November, and if you are getting only one November data for each item, then it is not going to generate a good forecast. So in simple way, if you want to draw a line, how many data points that you should have? You should have minimum 2 lines. You should have minimum 2 data points, right? Then and then you can draw a line. The same way, if you want to determine what is the trend, what is my pattern of my demand, you should have at least 2 data points. You should have at least 2 months data. So January 2016, January 2015. So whenever you ask your client that I need a history data, then you have to give me minimum 2 years of data. If you have more than 2, your forecast will be more and more accurate, more mature forecast. Okay, so this is, we touch base on the little bit on forecasting. Now this is just about the security. So this is a chart which explains what are the things I can hide, how I can control the security. So the first column is a data element. Second column represents what I can do. with this data element, and these remaining last three columns represents this can be done at the at what point or at what level. Like if I want to read this data, so I have to read like this. So series. So with the series, it can be visible or it cannot be visible, and I can control this at component level. So it's a component is nothing but it's like a application. I can control at user group level, or I can control I cannot control at the user group level. I can control at the user ID level. So it means that for individual user, I will mention that whether series can be seen or series I can hide that. Okay, so I can do at the user level and I can do at the component level. Like the component, the example of component is like demand management. This is one of the component. Trade promotion. This is another component. It's like an application in e-business, like inventory planning. These are the applications. So, like there is a promotion series. You want to show in the demand management? No, you don't need to. So you can hide that. You can control at the component level. So this is the way. This is an example of the first one, and then the series indicators. The series indicators are when we talk about the series, I will show you that what is meant by series indicator. The series indicators are only controlled at the component level. So when you enable that component, then all the user will see this data. The levels are controlled only at the component level. What is meant by level? So level is nothing but it's item level, organization level. So like a promotion level, general level. So I will enable my promotion level for promotion application. That means a promotion component. So I cannot control like promotion data only seen to one particular user. This is very sensitive because we are giving access to whole that application. So it will be controlled at the component level. Then now level member. The level member is nothing but it's an individual part of that level. Like if organization is my level, then the level member is M1, M2. So you can control this access at the component level, at the user ID level. So like M1 data will be seen only by Deepak. He should not see that M2 data because he is not working for that organization. He should not amend the forecast for that. So that kind of restriction we can put at the user level. Or we can give we can control at the component level. So example is Deepak or the specific user should not see the data at the business group level or for this Canada business group. The reason is because he's not working there itself. So like you can hide that. So you can control at the component level itself. Then the another data element is the unit of measure. So the unit of measure like dollar value. So USD. So it's these are the USD or the pallet. So these are pretty. This particular unit of measure should be used by all the users. So you should not restrict like this user only seen the unit of measure should be pallet. This user should be only see the dollar data. No. If that user is having that series access, then he can use this unit of measure. So it will be controlled at the component level. It cannot be controlled at the user ID. The same for index and exchange rate. So USD is the index, and the unit of measure, the pallet is unit of measure. Then notes. So if you recollect our these notes, so in the series we'll mention these notes, right? Like this note, increase the forecast. Okay, so the user who is creating a note, he should have control that note will be seen by my colleague. That will not be seen by my manager. So you can set the permission. That individual user will mention this permission when he will click on that permission, and he will mention that permission. So he might mention permission to one particular user group, like collaborator user group. So all the users belongs to that group will be see that node information. So this is security, and there is another one table which explains, like, if you have that permission level. So whenever you create a user, you mention one permission level. Like this user is a super user, this is a manager, this is admin. So you will mention that. So the person who is having system manager permission level, he can do each and everything. He can log into the business modular. So if he log into the business modular, it means that he can amend the engine parameters, he can delete a series, he will create a series, he can do that kind of access. So the system manager should have that kind of permissions access. So he can do each and everything. But the supervisor, manager, they will log into the business modular and the collaborator workbench. Now you can ask why he is log into the business modular. He can log into the business modular and he can change the password. So that is only permission which he will get. Rest of permission will not be provided. So you can change the password from the two screens. One is from collaborator workbench, where you first log in, that will be first login page, and then you can change password from there. You can change the password from business modular. So individual user will have access to the business modular, and he will open that business modular and he will see only two options, change password. Oh, sorry, one option, only change password. He will change the password there as well.